Hey there hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter Wilds set video for Title Update 1. In today's video, we're going to be going over some brand new insect glaive sets using some of the new armor pieces and weapons found in Title Update 1. I have two different sets for you guys and some variations of those sets. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk weapons. Ardian is still going to be the strongest. The ideal roll is going to be 3 attack relics, 4 attack reinforcements, and 1 sharpness reinforcement. However, as you'll see on the sets, I personally don't even have that yet. It's really difficult to get perfect Ardians for all 14 weapon types, so mine looks a little bit different. I have a lot more crit and a lot less attack. Overall, it shouldn't really matter unless you're doing speed running. Going for the optimal perfect roll isn't entirely necessary. And as far as craftable weapons go, the new Zoh Shia Insect Glaive, the Blazing Katir, is probably the absolute best in class. The new skill, White Flame Torrent, is extremely good and brings it on par with Ardian weapons and perhaps even beating them out in Dragon Week matchups. So the choice of weapon is completely up to you. As per usual, I will be showing it with my Ardian Insect Glaive because it has better slot efficiency and I just enjoy using Blast a little bit more right now. Up first is our DPS set. We're going to be rocking the Numinous Crown Beta, the Numinous Shroud Beta, the Gore Vambraces Beta, the Numinous Waist Beta, and the Gore Greaves Beta, and we'll finish it off with the Counter Charm 3. For decorations in the weapon, you want a Flight/something jewel. I prefer Handicraft for a little extra sharpness, but you could go for attack or whatever you prefer, and then 5 levels of critical boost. If you're using the Zoh Shia weapon, you'll want another Flight/something jewel and 3 levels to critical boost. In the head, we're going to slot in a Tenderizer, earplugs, and then I went for a Shockproof jewel, but if you're not really playing a bunch of multiplayer, or if you think the flinch-free one on the Gore legs is enough, you can slot in whatever you'd like here. In the chest is a Tenderizer jewel. In the arms and waist, we will slot in 3 Mighty jewels, and in the legs, a Chain and 2 Sane jewels. All in all, for skills, we will have Critical Boost level 5 to boost our critical damage to 134%. I have Handicraft level 1, and then Airborne gives us plus 10% attack on all aerial attacks, and this does include the Rising Spiral Slash, so it's pretty much a must-have since that is Insect Glaive's hardest hitting attack. We then have Agitator at level 5, 20 raw attack, and 15% affinity when the monster is enraged. Counter-Strike at level 3 gives us plus 25 raw attack for 45 seconds after being sent flying. This comes on our charm, and I'll show you a variation of this set where we drop this for a bit more earplugs, so if you're doing the Zoh Shia fight, so be sure to stay tuned for that. We then have Max Might at level 3 for plus 30% affinity when our stamina is full. This skill was buffed/fixed in Title Update 1, where as long as your stamina gets back to full within 2 seconds of you dropping from full stamina, it will remain active. Antivirus level 3 gives us plus 10% affinity when we clear the Frenzy. It also allows us to clear the Frenzy that we are given by the 2-piece Gore Magala set bonus a little bit quicker. All in all, this with the 2-piece Gore set bonus means when we clear the Frenzy, we get a bonus 25% affinity. Weakness Exploit at level 2 gives us 10% affinity on weak spots. Constitution level 1 comes free on the armor. However, it does mean we will use a little bit less stamina whenever we roll, allowing Max Might to stay up just a bit more often than otherwise would be possible. Burst level 1 gives us plus 8 raw attack when we hit the monster 5 times in a row consecutively, and should be active as long as you don't stop hitting the monster. If you do opt for an elemental weapon, this will also give you plus 60 element when it is active. Evade window and recovery speed come free on the armor. The recovery speed helps out with the Zoh Shia set bonus a little bit, however, that is not the main concern of this set. We're not really building around the health regeneration of the Zoh Shia bonus. The pieces are just extremely good and very efficient, which is why we are using them in this set. Coalescence level 1 will give us a tiny boost in element or status whenever we clear the Frenzy. Again, free on the armor, not a huge deal. Earplugs at level 1 is about all you'll need for most of the fights in the game. Very few monsters need earplugs 3, and when you have your white extract, you get 1 level of earplugs per the 1 level of flinch free. So this means effectively whenever we have our white extract from our Kinsect, we will have earplugs 2. This is enough for Arkveld and most of the other monsters in the game. However, I'll go over a way to get in earplugs 3 later on, so be sure again to stay tuned for that. Flinch free, free on the armor, and shock absorber, again for multiplayer, can be swapped out for any level 1 decoration of your choice. We already spoke a small amount about the set bonuses, but Zoh Shia's Pulse with 2 pieces, we get Super Recovery 1. This lets our health recover past the red health bar we have when we take a hit. Again, this isn't a huge deal. It doesn't really heal you super quickly. It's not the main focus of the set, and the armor pieces are so good, we'd use them even if we didn't get this set bonus. And then, of course, Gormagala's Tyranny, you all know and love it. Black Eclipse 1, whenever you get into a fight with a large monster, you're inflicted with the Frenzy. By repeatedly attacking and by using antivirus, we can clear the Frenzy faster, and once it's clear, plus 25% affinity, and it will activate our single level of Coalescence. Now, a slight variation of this set, if you are fighting something like Zoh Shia, where you do need 3 levels of Earplugs, would be swapping out the Counter Charm for the Earplug's Charm 2, and then swapping out the Earplug decoration in the head for a single level of Counter Strike there. That means when we have our white extract, we will have 3 levels of Earplugs, which allows you to mitigate all roars in the game, except I do believe Zoh Shia has a couple roars that even break through Earplugs level 3. But overall, if you need 3 levels of Earplugs, you can use the exact same setup, just swap the charm and the level 2 decoration in the head. The next set I have for you guys is a little bit more built around those healing properties. It's a more comfort/casual style of build. The weapons remain exactly the same, the decorations in the weapon remain exactly the same. However, we will be using the Guardian Arkfeld Helm beta and chest beta, the Fulgur Vambraces beta, and the waist and legs will be the Zoh Shia beta pieces with the Challenger Charm 2. Now, as far as decorations go, the only things you need are the 2 Mighty Jewels, the Counter Jewel, the Chain Jewel, and the Earplug Jewel. I opted to go for 2 levels of Weakness Exploit, however, you could use those 2 level 3 slots in the head to get in a single level of Agitator and then maybe a level of Adrenaline Rush if you would so choose. Again, this set is built a little bit more around comfort. It still has some good damage skills, but you're not going to find huge variations in your quest time if you swap out the 2 levels of Weakness Exploit that I am personally using for something that you might like better. We've already talked about most of these skills, but let's go ahead and get into a few that are newer here with this set. We have Flare at level 2. It lets us create wounds just a tiny bit faster, only works with some attacks, doesn't work with things like your Strong Descending Slash or your Rising Spiral Slash. So some of your basic attacks will allow you to create wounds faster and give you a chance at that Flare burst of damage. Blight Resistance 2 comes free on the armor, but is nice for some of those fights where you really have to worry about things like Dragon or Fire Blight. Partbreaker at level 1 also comes free on the set, so if you're fighting something like Zoh Shia, this will let you break those wing arms to get those Black Ember masses just a little bit quicker. Elemental Absorption, also free on the armor, doesn't really do a whole lot for us, especially if we are using status glaives, so don't worry too much about that one. Again, same thing with Earplugs level 1. Most monsters in the game from Arkveld basically down, outside of Jindahad, will only need Earplugs 2, and you'll get that with your white extract. However, you can drop the Counter Jewel in the waist for a second Earplug Jewel if you need all 3 levels. As far as the set bonuses, we have Guardian Arkveld's Vitality. With 2 pieces of the Guardian Arkveld armor, we get Decimator 1. Since Insect Glaive loves popping wounds in order to get its triple extract back, this will allow us to gain health back whenever we pop those wounds, so again, a little more comfort that fits in with the playstyle of the weapon. And then, of course, Zoh Shia's Pulse. Recover that red health a little bit faster and allow yourself to recover beyond that red health after you get hit. Not a huge uptick here, but combining these 2 skills together should mean you'll need to heal a little bit less in most of your hunts. The final set I have for you guys, if you haven't seen my previous anti-Zoh Shia Insect Glaive video and you want to hear more about this set overall, I'll leave a link down in the description below. But like I said, in case you haven't seen it, I did want to cover it again here so that way you can kind of have all your Insect Glaive builds in one place. Again, this set is built for specifically Zoh Shia. I wouldn't recommend using this pretty much anywhere else. The weapons remain the same. For the armor, we're going Gore Helm Beta, Arc Vulcan Chest Beta, the Zhuwu Arms Beta, the Arc Vulcan Coil Beta, the Gore Greaves Beta, and the Exploiter Charm 2. In the head, you can slot in whatever the hell you want. The Throttle Jewel and Shockproof Jewel are my choices. I think Latent Power is kind of underrated as an additive skill. There's not really much else we could throw in here that would give us a whole bunch of use. So getting some free affinity and stamina reduction was my personal choice, but again, the 3-in-1 slots in the head are completely up to you. In the chest, you'll need 2 Mighty Jewels. In the arms, another Mighty Jewel, an Earplug Jewel, and a Sane Jewel. In the waist, a Sane and Fire Resistance Jewel, and in the legs, a Chain and 2 more Fire Resistance Jewels. One change you could make that I do want to note is you'll notice in the weapon, instead of going for crit boost 5, I went for a razor sharp / handicraft jewel. Now technically with the affinity we have on this set, Master's Touch would be more efficient and give us more overall units of white sharpness. However, I do know that Zoh Shia's weak spots are especially hard to hit during his first 2 phases, so I think razor sharp is a good option here. But the choice is up to you. If you feel like you're dropping a blue a lot, you could throw in Master's Touch or razor sharp to help keep you in white sharpness for as long as possible during that Zoh Shia hunt. As far as skills go, there's not much new that you won't have seen already, but for our set bonuses, 2 pieces of the Arc Vulcan armor gives us Hasten Recovery 1. This allows us to regenerate health by just attacking the monster, works very similarly to Burst, but instead of an attack and element boost, you instead regain a small amount of HP every few hits that land on the monster. Since this set is the anti-Zoh Shia set, I didn't want to use the Zoh Shia armor pieces, and the Guardian Arcveld pieces for Decimator just aren't as efficient for getting in those damage skills. This set is super easy to use, you get some health back. You'll never be fire blighted because our fire resistance is at or over 20, so if you get hit by those fire attacks, the fire blight will not constantly chip damage you, and by just attacking the monster, you're going to be regaining health. I built this set just as a showcase for my anti-Zoh Shia build, and my first time ever playing Insect Glaive against Zoh Shia with this set, I was able to slay Zoh Shia in under 11.5 minutes while getting hit a lot, not playing very clean, so if you're looking for a set to farm Zoh Shia because you don't have those armor pieces yet, this is the one I would recommend. As far as Kinsects go, I would highly recommend the Arc Maiden. It has fast charge and the Harvest Extract boost. That means you can get 3 extracts with just a single send out of the bug. You can charge it up faster to allow it to pierce through monsters and grab all 3 extracts in one single go. And the blunt damage means we can probably get at least 1 free KO per hunt, which is super nice to have on the side as some extra crowd control. As far as mantles go, I believe that the Evasion Mantle after its buff is the best in the game. However, with Insect Glaive, you might not be dodging through attacks all that often. You're going to vault over them perhaps and do some of those descending thrusts into your rising spiral slash. So you could really use any of the 4 mantles that you like. There's not one that's going to be definitively better than the other unless you are doing specific speedruns. If you're just playing normally, pick the mantle that you believe would work best for your playstyle. If you feel like you need a little bit of extra healing during the Zoh Shia fight or something, you could easily throw on the Mending Mantle to get some health back without having to heal. You could easily throw on Rocksteady at the opening of the Zoh Shia fight in order to get your extracts without having to worry about getting roared. So, like I said, as long as you're not a speedrunner going for a world record time, you can just throw on whichever mantle you think you'll like the best for your specific hunt and playstyle. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe for more Monster Hunter content just like this. We're going to keep cranking out updated builds. We'll be doing some open lobbies very soon, so keep an eye out on the channel for that. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.